What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Let's Play Dark Souls 2. Last time we entered the Lost Bastille via the Pursuer's Crow, but we also picked up Lenigrast's key from the merchant in the Forest of Fallen Giants. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to give it to him, and then we can get into the next level.
Who are you? Oh, it doesn't matter. Just help me open this door. I packed my tools in here, seeing it was vacant. But now somebody's gone and locked the door. I'm a blacksmith. I'm nothing without my tools. Bring me that key.
So we'll go ahead and unlock Lenigrast's bombed-out-looking house for him.
Ah, yes. Very good. Now I can get to work. But first, let me set up. Come again later.
Oh, we will come again later. In fact, we'll be back here in just a second. All we have to do is warp to another location and warp back here. Lenigrast is Majula's resident blacksmith. He can do all sorts of things for you. He can repair all of your items, which is a very important function now as opposed to in Dark Souls 1. And he can, more importantly, reinforce your weapons and your armor. Upgrading or reinforcing is similar to the way it worked in Dark Souls 1. I'll go into more detail about it as the playthrough progresses, but for now, what Lenigrast can do, his primary function is going to be reinforcement, which is the process of taking armor or weapons up one or two or several levels. Say if I upgrade my Haid Knight Sword, I can upgrade it to a Knight Sword +1, +2, etc. It requires varying types of Titanite, like chunks, shards, large shards, and slabs, I think are the four main materials. There are others that are going to come down the line. I'll show that off real quick and talk to him.
Stand back. This is dangerous work. The name's Lenigrast. Just a simple blacksmith. And you are... another useless traveler. A man ought to labor with his feet planted firmly in the earth. Not roam around like you flirtatious vagabonds. Oh, what does it matter? Go on, show me what you've got. Your equipment. Let me have a look. But do it quick.
So I'm looking around his house, and it's in total ruins, like it's a pile of rubble. I don't understand why his door being locked was such a big deal for him, like he couldn't get in and set up shop through one of the many, many gigantic gaping holes. So I was mentioning repairing. The thing about repairing in this game is that armor, rings, and weapons lose durability in Dark Souls 2 very, very quickly. However, the durability of an item is repaired once you rest at a bonfire, unless that item happens to break. Resting at a bonfire will not repair broken items. You have to go to a blacksmith. And Lenigrast, being Majula's resident blacksmith... Did I say Lenigrast? Yes, Lenigrast, being Majula's resident blacksmith, is one of the most easily accessible sources of repairing your items. Also, repairing costs a lot more in Dark Souls 2, because durability is so much lower, but bonfires repair, or not repair, but replenish durability. So if you do happen to let something break, you're going to pay a decent amount to get it fixed. Also, one more thing about the upgrade system. I'll talk about this more down the line. There is a system in the game similar to the way ascending weapons worked, which was imbuing them with usually elemental properties or something like extra bleed or poison damage. There's a similar system to Ascension in Dark Souls 2, but we have to deal with that way down the line because you need a particular item from a later level to start out on that. I want to try to knock this down. I can't hit it. Can I... Oh no! It was falling and I broke it. I kind of forgot that there's no more kick in Dark Souls 2. The kick button has been replaced with that shield bash thing. not shield bash, but the guard break. That's right, that's what it was called. But it looked like I could have just body pushed that explosive barrel down. It would have lit up all of the powder kegs in this room and just cleared the dogs out, which would have been handy, but oh well. So this is the Lost Bastille, which we are storming. And the Lost Bastille is a prison where King Vendrick, who we've heard a little bit about now... Oh, got the Covetous Serpent Ring. We've heard a little bit about King Vendrick now, and this is a prison of his own design. He rounded up the cursed undead to stop the spread of the curse in his kingdom. Does that sound a little bit familiar to you? Maybe a little bit like the Undead Asylum from Dark Souls 1? And there are two ways to get to the Lost Bastille. You can kill the Pursuer, who opens up right away after the last giant is killed. And he's in the same area, so it's, I think, the quicker way to get here. Or you can go to an area called No Man's Wharf, which requires you to go through Hade's Tower of Flame, plus an extra level. Or rather, getting to here from No Man's Wharf requires that extra level. Hade's is pretty short, though, so it's kind of a trade-off. Also, I believe this is Lucatiel, so let's go talk to her.
What is it? I don't know you, and you don't know me. Things are better that way. You are an odd one. Normally, people keep a safe distance when they see this mask. But you... I'm called Lucatiel. From the land of Mirrah to the far east, across the mountains. They say Drang Lake brims with powerful souls. And so I came to claim my share. But what a strange place. Even the rumors did not prepare me. You are an odd one indeed. I've always made a point of avoiding people, while you've made a point of engaging me. I can see that you are mid-journey. If you require assistance, I will help you. I come from Mirrah, a land of knights. My sword is always ready. Don't hesitate to call upon me. Whatever happens, I won't be missed. You are an odd one. Well, you've made... I can see that I come from...
I really like Lucatiel. She doesn't give the best first impression, but as you encounter her throughout the game, her story becomes really compelling. Also, the second time you talk to her, she gives you a human effigy if you exhaust all of her dialogue. Also, you have to exhaust all of her dialogue to get her to move locations to progress her questline, I think. And you can talk to her in any of the locations that she appears in. I know she appears in the Lost Bastille here. She appears in No Man's Wharf. That's something that I really like about Dark Souls 2 is the NPC questlines. They're non-linear now. And what I mean by that is, you know how in Dark Souls 1, you had questlines like the one for the Onion Knight, or you had the one for Solaire? And you had to talk to Solaire or the Onion Knight or whoever. You had to do all of their events in order. They showed up in a specific set of places, one after the other. And in order to get them to move from one location to the next, you would have to find wherever they first appeared. Like, the Onion Knight first appears right outside of Sen's fortress. And he doesn't appear in the next location until you talk to him at the start of Sen's fortress. In Dark Souls 2, you can start NPC questlines from any location that they appear in. As far as I know, I think there might be a few exceptions to that rule. Ooh. Also, this ambush, this, like, ongoing multi-wave ambush is so fucking nasty. What was that, 4? That room started out with 2? And then 2 more poured in. There are, like, at least... It feels like 11 or 12 royal soldiers that you have to deal with throughout this whole... Oh, God. Throughout this whole room. Or, I mean, this whole tower that we're going into. That's why I dragged them back to the door, though, where they could kind of cluster up and I could hit most of the ones from the early part of the ambush with the witching urn. I cannot stress enough how useful AoE consumable items are, or AoE weapons, things like the black fire bombs, the witching urn, stuff like that. It's all like really, really handy this time around. In Dark Souls 1, it felt more like you might use the fire bombs once or twice, like in the very early game. Now, though, you get so many of these big ambushes of like 4 or 5 nasty enemies, like the Royal Swordsman, who can effectively cleave off like a third of your health per hit. That having that AoE damage is so useful, especially if you're not a caster. This is going to be our third boss. There's another way into this area. If I get killed by this boss, which is possible. If I get killed by this boss, I'll show you the alternate way you can get to this room. Ow, I'm being too reckless. The start of this fight is very, very easy, which is why I should not be taking hits here. Just have to tighten up a little bit, tighten my guard. So you can see this is a multi-boss boss fight. The very beginning of the fight, though, you're only dealing with this one Ruin Sentinel at a time. And she doesn't do a whole lot of stamina damage to you. She does hit fairly hard. She has a huge range. But not a lot of health. And very easily blocked. If you get her to fall off like this, don't do a plunging attack down to the floor. Wait for her to jump back up with that sweeping attack. Most important thing to keep in this fight manageable, make sure that you kill the first Sentinel up here on this platform you start out on. That way you don't have to deal with all 3 of the Sentinels at once. And the other 2 Sentinels, the remaining ones, aren't all that different. They're not very different from the one we just fought. In fact, they're exactly the same. They have the exact same moveset, except now you have to deal with a kind of Ornstein and Smo situation where you have to really keep a close eye out on what both bosses are doing at any given time, so that you don't get caught by one or the other at an odd angle. It also makes... Ooh! That was a tricky roll. It also makes... I was not blocking that! Ooh. Uh-oh. I thought I was blocking. That just might have been a hit from an odd angle. 1 second. Okay. So I'm gonna pop a human effigy. Make sure I'm at full health, because I think I was already at like 90% of my max fighting them. I don't want to be down to 85. I want to be able to at least take a couple of hits if I screw up too much, kind of like last fight. What I was saying, though, is just the fact that there are 2 at once at that point, it makes it very difficult to manage what's going on around you. You have to keep a close eye on what both Sentinels are doing. Even though their moveset remains the same, it's just it gets more chaotic at that point. It's harder to find an opportunity to actually attack them. So we're going through the same door here, except instead of going off to the left and dealing with the ambush in that room, you can actually jump straight downstairs here. There's an item right here I'm going to pick up. Human effigy, and someone else. And there's a ladder that leads up straight into that hallway, which leads to the boss fog. And I think this is probably the less dangerous way to run back to the boss. Of course, you want to clear the other path, the path we took here the first time, just to get what's in that hallway, or just to get what's in the pathway leading up to it. Alright, let's screw around a little bit less this time. not take damage on the first Sentinel. Really shouldn't be happening. Also, this is my favorite theme in the entire game. This is one of my favorite songs on the soundtrack. It's awesome. So we'll just very, very quickly burn down the first Sentinel. The first section of this fight goes by very quickly because they have so little health and because you have such a great opportunity to just lay into them, or lay into her. Once you drop down to the floor, though, and it's 2-on-1, opportunities to attack them become fewer and farther between, which is kind of problematic. The thing about this fight, though, is surviving is no problem at all. Or it shouldn't be, I should say. Surviving is the easy part of the fight. It's just finding those opportunities to attack. You have to really cover your bases. Luckily, they usually don't stagger their attacks that much. They do give you some breathing room as far as attacking them goes. And now that the other one is up on this platform, I'll drop down, take a little bit of fall damage, chug an Estus, and it'll be fine. How the hell? Oh well. The jumping attack is probably the scariest thing they have because it lets them close the distance so quickly. You can't just rely on them being separated. This spin attack is my favorite attack that they can use because it leaves them the most vulnerable out of all of their attacks. So at this point in the fight, all you want to do is be patient. You can block them forever. You will never ever run into an issue if you are just blocking them. Like I said, the big problem in the fight is finding a safe time to actually counter. So again, patience is a virtue here. That and presence of mind, situational awareness, stuff like that. That is an interesting attack, that shield throw. Once they do that, it's a ranged attack. It drains a lot of stamina. It does a lot of damage if you don't block or dodge it. However, it leaves them shieldless for the entire remainder of the fight. Oh no, I was circling around to this one, and I think I took a shot in the back, even though I had my shield up. It's just a blind spot. Oh, that wasn't an opportunity. That one, the one I'm targeting now, recovered way quicker than I thought. That's what I mean when I say, like, it's hard to find safe opportunities to do things. Even just popping a life gem, you have to be careful about. Otherwise, it's not that complicated or that difficult of a fight. It's not, for instance, an Ornstein and Smo level fight, or even the Belfry Gargoyles from Dark Souls 1. It is probably the first taste of real difficulty that most people are going to get in the game, though. It's the first of the fairly challenging fights. There's a chance. There's a chance to do damage. If you can... Oh, I didn't see the other one. If you can focus one of them down, if you can just burn one down when it's 2-on-1, this fight becomes a cakewalk all over again. It's just... Once the final one is left alive, it becomes just like dealing with that first one up on the platform, except now you have more room to maneuver around. So this should be over pretty quick. Don't want to get too reckless, though. She can still kill me, especially from this much HP. I think it should take one combo if I don't block for her to kill me. Don't want to get too stupid. Love those big slam attacks. And they can be staggered. They just happen to have a decent amount of poise. Oh no, that's the kind of recklessness that gets you killed. Luckily, I dodged through it. Ooh. Yeah, it's a pretty fun fight. I kind of wish things changed up a little bit, aside from there just being multiples of them, and you can see the shield the one threw earlier is still embedded in the wall. I know there's one hidden wall around here, one false illusory wall. The way you activate those illusory walls in Dark Souls 2, which differs from in Dark Souls 1, is instead of hitting sections of wall that don't look right, instead of hitting those illusory walls to vanquish them, I guess. Oh, there are more of these than I thought. Instead of hitting them, you go up to them and you press X now, or A on the 360 pad. You press the action button. There are so many more walls hidden walls here than I thought. I knew there was one. I didn't think there were 3. I wonder how many are actually around here. That's the one for the target shield. That's the one I knew was there. Apparently there are a bunch, so I'm checking. Oh my god, another one! I'm gonna check every wall now. Oh, that's gonna drive me nuts. Where's that ladder gonna... Oh, I think I know what that ladder leads to. I'll get to that later. I think that leads up to the item that you could just kind of barely see while you're up on that first platform. I thought you had to make a jump to get to that item, but I guess not. This is gonna drive me nuts now because I'm just gonna slide my face along every single wall now, trying to activate walls. Is that the last one? Looks like it. Where was that one with the ladder? Was it this one? That's the one with the target shield, so it's along this wall. I think this is it. Yeah, there it is. I have no idea what's up here. I didn't know that there were this many walls. Oh no, it's to a chest. So you notice that there's no chains on the chests now? One way of detecting whether or not a chest was a mimic... Oh my god, another one. One way of detecting whether or not a chest was a mimic in Dark Souls 1 was you could check to see which direction the chain on... Yeah, that is how you get to this item, cool. Which direction the chain on the chest was facing. And that would clue you into whether or not you were about to open up a mimic and get eaten. And the other way would be you would have to attack the chest and see if it was a monster taking damage. However, now the chests have no chains, so the only way you can tell if it's a mimic is you can just kind of barely see teeth showing sometimes, or you have to attack it. But if you attack a chest 3 times now, the chest will break and the item inside will turn into rubbish, which is so, so cruel. Anyway, though, I know there's something in one of these cells that's about to explode. I hear it. Yeah, let's get away from that. Alright, fuck you, exploding prisoner. Alright, with that out of the way and the Ruin Sentinel's dead, we will move on from the Lost Bastille and tackle Hade's Tower of Flame next time. And there is a very nostalgic boss who you might not want to miss, so we will encounter him next time. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take it easy. Have a good one.